Welcome to Storyvale. Here, we bring you gripping, mysterious stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Secrets hiding in plain sight, shocking twists, and emotional moments. Every story will make you feel, gasp, and think long after it ends. Today's story is one of those, a story about a sister, a lost brother, and a truth no one expected. The gates of Raven Heights Academy were taller than any building Laura had ever seen. Black iron spikes caught the gray morning light, casting sharp shadows across the stone driveway. She stood there, heart pounding, clutching the small backpack that held her entire disguise. A cap pulled low, short hair tucked in, and baggy clothes hiding her figure. Laura, or Leo as she now had to be, took a deep breath. She thought of Liam, her twin, smiling the day he left for this school, full of hope. Her stomach twisted, remembering the last call he had made before he vanished. Since that day, her world had been hollow. Her parents were gone. Her job barely covered rent. And now she was risking everything to find him. The school looked intimidating from the outside. Polished windows, luxury cars lined the driveway, and students in perfectly pressed uniforms laughed as they walked past. Many of them didn't even notice the new janitor. That was exactly what she needed. The principal's office was huge, the walls lined with plaques and trophies. Laura kept her eyes on the floor as she spoke with Mr. Holloway, the head janitor who handled staffing. "Yes, Leo?" he asked, scanning her papers. "You've got the job. Start today." She nodded silently, swallowing her nervousness. "Thank you, sir." Once the door closed behind her, Laura let out a small breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Every step into those halls felt like walking into a cage, but she had a plan. Observe, blend in, and find her brother. By the end of her first day, Laura noticed the things that would haunt her. Students who looked at staff like they were invisible, whispered secrets behind closed doors, and the older boys who ruled the school with arrogance and cruelty. And then there was Ethan Ward, tall, smug, and dangerous. The way he moved through the halls, every eye on him, told Laura he was at the center of whatever had happened to Liam. That night, she cleaned the science lab alone. Her flashlight flickered as she checked the storage cabinets. One drawer, slightly ajar, held a forgotten jacket, Liam's jacket. Her breath caught. A flash drive was tucked into the pocket. Her hand shook as she held it. Every fear, every suspicion she had surged to life. This was the first clue that Liam hadn't left of his own will. Laura's jaw tightened. Tomorrow, she would follow him. She would see where the boys went after curfew. And she would not stop until she discovered the truth. Because nothing, not the wealth, not the power, not the lies of Raven Heights, could stop a sister looking for her twin. The next morning, Laura arrived before sunrise. The school was quiet, except for the occasional screech of a sports car or the clatter of a student running late. She carried her mop and bucket, keeping her eyes low, her ears open. Every hallway, every classroom, every office could hold a clue. By mid-morning, she noticed something strange. A group of older boys was gathered near the back entrance, whispering and laughing. Among them was Ethan Ward. He carried himself with a confidence that made Laura's stomach tighten. She could feel his presence before she even saw him. She moved silently behind a row of lockers, pretending to sweep the floor, watching them. Liam's jacket was draped over a chair nearby, the same one she had found in the lab. Her heart thumped. Why was it here? Why hadn't anyone reported it missing? The boys moved toward the basement, a place marked restricted access with a heavy metal door. Laura knew she wasn't allowed to go down there, but she had to follow. Liam could be in danger. After her shift, she waited until the students went to their dorms. Then, carrying only a flashlight, she sneaked down the narrow hall toward the basement door. She pressed her ear to the cold metal. Voices inside, low, urgent, and unfamiliar, drifted out. "I told you he's too curious," Ethan's voice said. "If anyone finds out, it's over." A shiver ran down Laura's spine. Someone was hiding something. Her brother had seen it. That much was clear. Laura crept closer, her hand on the door handle. She had never been so afraid in her life. The air smelled of damp concrete and something metallic. She pushed the door slowly. The basement was dark, the walls lined with old lockers and shelves covered in dust. A small light flickered in the corner, illuminating a figure curled on the floor. Laura froze. It was Liam. "Liam," she whispered, rushing forward. But before she could reach him, a shadow moved in front of her. "You shouldn't be here," a deep voice said. Ethan Ward stepped out from the darkness, blocking her path. Laura straightened, gripping her flashlight like a weapon. "Where is he?" Ethan smirked. "You really are his sister. Clever enough to get in here, but not clever enough to leave unnoticed." Tears welled up in Laura's eyes. "Tell me what you did to him." Ethan's face hardened. "He found out things he shouldn't have. My father, the school, they took care of it. But you're a problem now." Laura's jaw tightened. Fear and rage collided. She couldn't let them get away with this. She had worked, suffered, and sacrificed everything for Liam. She would not fail now. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. "I'm not leaving without him." For a moment, silence filled the basement. Then the first sound came. Liam coughing, weak but alive. Laura's heart leapt. "Liam. Oh my God, you're okay." He looked up, confusion and relief in his eyes. "Laura, you're here?" "I'm always here. I'm not letting them hurt you," she whispered. Ethan's smirk vanished. He wasn't expecting this. Laura had the courage, the fire, the determination that he hadn't counted on. And in that instant, Laura realized something. The richest boys, the school's secrets, even the threats of powerful men, none of it could stop a sister determined to save her twin. They had tried to hide the truth. They had thought money and power could erase a life. Laura looked at the files on her small table one last time. Photos, voice notes, a video Liam had made on his phone the week he disappeared, shaky, scared, saying names and places. There were emails showing how the headmaster and some rich parents covered everything up. There were ledger pages showing money paid to silence people. All of it smelled like truth. She could have walked to the police. She could have run. But the school had friends in high places. The police were slow. The families around Raven Heights had mouths that stayed shut when money was on the line. Laura wanted the whole world to see. She wanted people who had been swallowed by silence to feel seen. She wanted the boys who had hurt her brother to know what it felt like when everything came crashing down. So she planned something big. On a rainy night, when the school had its biggest charity gala of the year, the night when the school's doors opened to the city, full of rich faces and bright lights, Laura slipped inside the auditorium carrying nothing but a small bag and a heavy heart. She had volunteered earlier to help clean after the event. No one stopped her. No one looked close. Backstage, the stage manager hung a large screen for the gala slideshow. Speakers, lights, and cables were all set. Laura found a place where the screen's HDMI cords and the gala laptop were kept. Hands shaking, she plugged the flash drive she had hidden for weeks into the screen box. She hit play. At first, the big screen showed the usual pictures, smiling boys, old trophies, and a proud headmaster. Then the images broke. The slide changed to Liam's shaky video. Liam looked into the camera and said names. The sound went out over the speakers, his voice loud and clear. "You took him," the recording said. "They made me help them hide it. I'm scared. If I disappear, tell Laura." Gasps filled the room. People turned to each other. On the screen came ledger pages with numbers and signatures, emails, photos of boys sneaking into the basement. Next, Laura had the audio, a recording she had made with a tiny pen recorder. It played the headmaster's voice, calm and cruel, telling someone to make it disappear. Screams started. Phones lit up. People stood, pointing, shouting. The headmaster rose from his seat and turned pale. His face was wet with sweat. Ethan's parents covered their mouths. The guests tried to run out, but the doors were locked for the gala. The campus security had to open them. By the time the police arrived, the real police, alerted by hundreds of calls from the guests, the auditorium was full of chaos. News vans came. Reporters asked questions into glowing microphones. The headmaster was taken away that night. Ethan and 2 other boys were taken for questioning. Several parents who were part of the cover-up saw their reputations burn on live television. Laura stood in the rain at the gate as the cars pulled out. People shouted at her. Some called her brave. Some called her cruel. Her hands were wet. Her cap had fallen off. Her hair blew loose in the wind. Liam was safe with a kind neighbor who had found him and held him until Laura came. He hugged her, weak but alive. He cried because he was safe and because the world had changed around them. Later, when the dust settled, There were hearings, investigations, and many arrests. The school closed for months. New leaders came with promises of change. Some families left town in shame. Some students learned a hard lesson about power and kindness. Laura had done something big. She had broken the silence, but she had paid a price. She could not stay. The city was loud now. People knew the janitor, who was not a janitor. Her face was on screens. For Liam's safety and for the work to be real and honest, Laura left quietly one morning before sunrise. She left with Liam's hand in hers and a small pack with their few things. They moved to a small town miles away. There they found a quiet house, a small job, and a new start. People there did not know the story. They learned to live softly. Liam returned to school when he was ready. Laura found a job where she could be honest about who she was. They planted a small garden together, tomatoes and beans that reached for the sun. Laura never sought glory. She had done the hard thing and then walked away so that the truth could heal, not just cause pain. She taught Liam how to forgive, how to speak up, and how to be brave in small, daily ways. In the years that followed, Raven Heights had new rules. Boys were taught kindness. The school put support for students who were scared or alone. People remembered how a quiet cleaner who was really a sister had opened the door to the light. And every time Laura watered the little garden, she remembered the night the screen lit up in the rain. She remembered Liam's hand in hers and the way truth can make a place better, even when it costs you everything. Final lesson: big things can start small. One brave choice, even by someone with no power, can change many lives. Courage is not loud. Sometimes it is quiet, sharp, and necessary. And love can be the fiercest force of all. If you found this story captivating, don't forget to subscribe and share.